implement is more of your striker scenario, where handle's a little bit higher, radius a little bit wider coming into it, doesn't require that much of an overtaking if any, flatter left wrist coming through the ball, and really all that requires is you to keep that body moving.
Yeah.
You're going to be shallower, the club's not overtaking the hands, so the speed's easier to regulate. But when you're trying to play different shots, you then need to use obviously different wedges to give you different trajectories. You still use little minor ball position adjustments, and you might open the face a little bit or put the ball back a little bit, be what it may, but you're not going to make as many adjustments, and the variables won't be as dramatic as the guy who's been a little bit more flamboyant, a little bit more of a tighter radius overtaking. Both ways work, both ways are demonstrated by, you see any number of different ways of chipping demonstrated by the world's top players. But with yourself, I think if we can just sort of get those wrist conditions that we want locked in, so you've got relatively high handle, left wrist relatively flat, keep that flat left wrist in there. That's going to give you, the thing you've got to bear in mind with that is when you're chipping, generally speaking, you're going to get a relatively shallow angle of attack every single shot. So when you're in a bit of a deep rough lie, or the ball's sat down a little bit, you then need to consider your ball position a little bit more, because you do then need to get a little bit more of a steep angle of attack. Whereas the guy who is setting the wrists a little bit more, coming a little bit tighter, if he keeps the wrist angle in there, he can produce a steeper angle of attack. For a standard shot, he'd have to get rid of the wrist angles a little bit more whilst keeping the body moving. So it gives him a little bit more variation. But at club level, we don't necessarily need that much variation, do we? We just want a standard shot initially that we can rely on, and that allows us to, like I said, explain what's going on a little bit more clearly. So it landed too far up, ran on a little bit too far, because my speeds were a little bit too high. So it's like everything's locked in, and then we're just going to use the body's rotation to speed things up or slow things down. Your length of swing as well plays a part. But what we don't necessarily need is other variations that, we've not quite regained the wrist action that we wanted, or demonstrated the wrist action we wanted, or we've not quite recovered the shaft enough, or we've recovered it a little bit too much, and then all of a sudden, because we're not practicing the short game for hours, what we gain with a little bit of, a little bit more versatility, we lose with just consistency. We just want a basic shot that's going to get the job done for you.
I think that was the thing. If you're doing it hours a day, I can understand. For me, I mean, and I do practice
be as flamboyant as you want.
But I found that at least that sort of gave me. Before, I'd be thinking speed of body, speed of that. So, and if you got that right, you might get that wrong.
The top players have to have that many shots in their armoury, don't they? That said, Steve Stricker's got a lot of shots in his armoury, but he's not got as many shots as say Mickelson and Tiger Woods have got. But he's got enough to get by. He still wins the bob or two, doesn't he? So we don't necessarily need to be as flamboyant. So we've got relatively flat wrist that's set up, trying to keep that condition in there, a little bit more passive with the hands, and it just becomes easier to police from your point of view then.